How you crazy people doing tonight? All right. Welcome to DJ Chad's Chat-a-mat-a-mat.
Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. I wear my sunglasses at night to hide my pretty eyes so y'all don't fall in love with me.
Okay. All right.
Here we are.
Thank you guys for joining us.
Live and direct.
Crackling and popping. That's actually my asthma medication.
No.
Mm-hmm. It looks like a vape, but
It
essentially
does look a little bit like a vape. I really thought it was asthma medicine. You didn't even have to say it. That was my first suspicion.
Yeah, like it's the same stuff that they
Right.
use for asthma medication. You know what I'm saying?
The glycerin, the vegetable, no, the
same stuff.
propylene glycol. That's
the propylene glycol, and they even thought
delivers
about
the
using
medicine.
VG vegetable glycerin to make sure that people knew that they took their medication.
Right.
For it's the same thing. The only difference is the nicotine molecules. The nicotine molecules
are more prevalent in the
are
asthma.
not like you can take like certain chemicals out of substances, like tomatoes have nicotine in them, right?
Yes.
And you can also like you know how you can do THC and you can take it out of the actual weed,
right,
and put it into other forms of medication.
I learned about that on TLC.
Yeah. And then it's not weed anymore.
It's a whole other new
CBD
thing.
or THC, the molecule.
There's a fragrance called molecule.
Molecule.
Yes.
And so it's the molecular structure, it's the atoms that they put together. It has nothing to do with, say, tobacco, for instance.
They're combustible product.
Right, where people will call vaping tobacco product.
And it's so not that.
It's not tobacco at all.
So far from the truth.
It's not even smoke.
It's non-combustible.
It's actual vapor.
Correct.
Which is what the asthma medicine is that I take, right? I take asthma medication for my asthma, medication for the asthma, right? So it's not smoke. They wouldn't like prescribe smoke to asthma patients.
Oh, wait, you were being serious about that.
I'm being serious about the whole thing, yeah.
Oh.
You wouldn't take, smoke. Why would you put, it's the same thing, right?
Uh-huh.
It's the same vape people. I feel bad for vape people because when they go to, say, arenas, in places like that, they say you can't have any tobacco products.
Right, and it's like it's not a tobacco product.
Right, and it's not a tobacco product.
They try to explain that, and they're like, well, it still makes smoke. It's like,
it's not smoke.
Yeah.
It's the same thing they use for asthma.
Right. I went through that shit for years. Everywhere I went. It's like, oh, no, you can't smoke. It's not smoking.
It's like,
no vaping either.
Right, and then my stuff looks like vape, but it's asthma medic. I have to take it with me, and they're like, no, you can't, and they'll throw away my $100 prescription stuff.
Me eagle chopping people to the throat, you know what I mean? Just
right, it's crazy. And then like I might have an asthma attack while I'm at a concert or something like that.
Somebody. I'd be hitting him with a fucking lawsuit.
That's what I'm saying, man.
Hit him in the neck with a lawsuit.
Okay, so Damien's here for an actual HOTOS one-on-one interview.
What's up? I'm Damien. Hi.
And I figured, we would get around, loosen up a little bit, like have a little bit of coffee.
Oh, this is what we do. A little bit of a new flavor from Celsius. Not sponsored. I just really like zero sugar, essential energy, natural caffeine kind of things. It's tasty. It's green apple and cherry. Celsius, they said, everybody else is making cherry limeade energy drinks. Let's do the cherry. Let's do it with apple instead. Which I'm here for it. It's all right. I'm not hating it.
That's what's up. It sounds like it's delicious.
It's yeah, it's pretty good.
Cheers to that
Cheers to that. Lord.
Okay, so let's get serious.
Okay.
Like you, this is about this is about you telling your story.
Okay.
We've known each other for a long time, and we've had our moments, but we've had few and far between as far as I can remember, and most of them have been good.
Yeah.
So, and so first, thanks for thanks for joining me, and I've
Pleasure to be here.
Totally been excited about getting an actual real interview with you.
Oh, you and me both. I've been looking very, very much forward to this.
Awesome. So give me a little bit about your upbringing and all of that, like what you're doing now, that general overview,
okay.
And then we'll go into where it started and where you started and how you were brought up and all that. Does that sound good?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
All right. I'm Damien Blackheart. Some of you might know me as the Moral Misanthrope on YouTube. I have a YouTube channel. Not a reaction channel. It's a reaction channel. But before that, I had a few music projects I was doing. Really heavily into music like all my life. I've been DJing since 1992. I had several metal bands, had a goth industrial kind of aggro fucking whatever genre you want to call it. Angels on Acid. Was with them for a really long time. Took a hiatus for a little bit. Was in a couple other bands. We got back together. We started a metal band called Basterian. That was pretty fun for a little while. And we started working on a new Angels on Acid album, and then we just kind of didn't do that. But I always was fascinated with graphic design and video editing and stuff like that. And I thought, I want to do a YouTube channel. And now mind you that this is all of this, the music career really started to do something and for a little bit. And then the YouTube channel, this is all post sobriety. This is all after I got sober. Most of the DJing, the majority of my DJing career was before I got sober. I got sober in 2007. But no, 2005. Jesus, what am I saying? April 17th, 2005. That's when I got sober. And I joined Angels on Acid shortly after that. But fast forward to today. I'm trying to get this YouTube thing popping off, and I'm really excited about it. I've got probably a little over 400 videos on the channel now. Been doing it for a couple of years. I think 2018. I've had my channel for about 14 years, but I think this channel I've had 12. I've had a couple of channels, but I've been doing YouTube for 14 years. But I really didn't start taking it seriously and really trying to make something of it until 2018, and that's my main focus right now, and it's going pretty good. I'm pretty excited about it. Got ideas in the works.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you. Just to make it clear, not everybody that I interview is sober, but I do know a lot of sober people. And so what I do is pick people who have had experiences in their life. They're extremely creative and they've had the experience of being the underdog. However, do some pretty amazing things and do stuff for the community and become what I would call self-aware, conscious people who move in integrity in a lot of ways. So with that, what was your upbringing like and how were you doing things and what were your results?
All right. So, I mean, I was born and raised in the South, good old South. And, you know, it was a single mom situation. Although she was, you know, she wasn't really around much. Ended up spending or, you know, being raised primarily by my grandparents. My grandmother was like super religious, very, very religious. You know, spent a lot of time in the church and, well, I can't say it was a good time. I questioned a lot. Had a lot of really negative experiences. Nothing like, you know, just like judgy, just mean-spirited people in the last place you'd think to experience that. Just experienced a lot of weird, mean stuff in different churches.
Just general trauma type stuff.
Right. But yeah, so, you know, sometimes, you know, my mother, she had like, you know, she dated some different guys. You know, she had me really young. And sometimes, you know, I'd spend time with like her and, you know, whoever she was like dating at the time. And, you know, whoever she was with and, you know, and herself, they liked to party. So that was an example that was shown to me early on, you know, and anytime there was anything wrong, there was always like alcohol and, you know, different substances and stuff around. So, you know, I kind of, that was my go-to. You know, I saw that like that's what everyone else was doing, and that was like the way to like escape everything. Like if I was upset with the shit that was going on at school. I mean, I was a small child. I was a very small child. I'm a vertically challenged man right now. But you know, I did get bullied extensively in like elementary and junior high school, especially. High school wasn't as bad. I went to 2 or 3 different high schools and ended up graduating early. But, you know, I definitely found more of a connections in high school. But yeah, I mean, that's how I dealt with things. You know, I started sneaking out of my grandparents' house at a very early age. You know, me and a couple of the friends in the neighborhood, we would, you know, steal alcohol from, you know, our parents, or we'd have older people that got alcohol for us, and we had places we would meet up and get drunk, and that was a large part of my childhood. And, you know, in high school, you know, I started taking shit up a notch. I discovered the underground raves of the 90s when I was in like 10th grade. And, you know, along with that comes all of the ecstasy and the LSD and the coke and the acid and everything else and the ketamine, and got into all of it. And, you know, just whatever you got that I could afford or was free, I was all about it. And, you know, just going to the parties, hearing the music, I fell in love with electronic music. It was already kind of like, I'd always been into music growing up. Like I loved listening to the radio. I'd sit by the tape or the radio, listen for like my favorite songs, have a cassette in the tape deck.
Sometimes I record.
Yeah, sometimes I call in multiple times until I could get through to the radio station and make the request and get ready to record it, hopefully hear myself on the air. But yeah, so it's like you know, I loved Depeche Mode and Duran Duran and, you know, all the, you know, more electronic based kind of pop stuff, synth pop, I guess you could call it now.
Didn't really like I know for me didn't really associate that sound more associated that sound with pop and rock and roll and like I know for me it was like psychedelic rock and you know like Pink Floyd and whatnot and
I listened to a lot of that growing up too.
Those synthesizers and organ sounds but then showing up in those clubs and hearing that music and being like the only thing close to that was Magic Mike bass music.
Yeah.
And it was just like, whoa, this is wild. It was completely different.
Right.
It definitely wasn't something that you like heard on regular any kind of broadcast of any sort. And that was way different. It was like tapping into a different planet organism of some sort, you know? And now today it's wonderful that we get to go to the grocery store and hear. I literally have walked in grocery stores and heard drum and bass playing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, holy crap, drum and bass.
Right.
You know, it's still very underground, but it's great to hear it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Definitely. But yeah, you know, a lot of the stuff that was, you know, the influences, you know, when I started going to, you know, the underground parties and stuff, like the warehouses down on like Moorhead and, you know, the DAC and places like that, Park Elevator. It's like I heard that stuff, but then I heard like, you know, techno, and I'm like, okay, you know, I can get on board with this. It was so like fun and just energetic and upbeat and liberating, and you know, especially with the drugs and you know, just looking at the DJ and watching everybody dance, hearing the people talk about how cool the DJ is. It's like I knew after my first few parties, I'm like, that's me. That's what I need to do. I need to be the puppet master. I need to be the DJ. So got me some record players, like not even real turntables. Like I had a stereo with a record player on top, got a Radio Shack mixer, and got another belt drive turntable, and started trying to fucking mix until I eventually, you know, I got a couple of belt drive tables, started working with that, worked my way up, got some Tech 12s, and then the rest was history. Like I took off from there.
Now, had you already attempted doing creative stuff like with anything, music, art, anything like that?
So yeah, I mean, I was already like I excelled in all my art classes in school. The art classes that, you know, I took in school, I did real well, like super well. Like my teachers were always trying to push me to enter contests, and you know, I would always draw on my assignments and all my other classes, and they did a bunch of like tests and shit, and decided that I needed to be in all academically gifted classes because I wasn't challenged enough, and that's why I wasn't doing the assignments, and I was drawing all over everything. And it's like, okay, sure, whatever.
So they took what your function was, which was being a creative, and they associated that with all of your other what they were wanting as faculties.
Right.
Yeah.
But
okay.
So then also, you know, like you were talking.
Interesting to hear.
Right. Yeah. Like you were talking about with, you know, listening to classic rock and like rock and stuff like that. You know, my mom had me reel on that, the times that I spent with her when I was growing up. And, you know, I knew at like 7, I'm like, I want to play guitar. I want to make music. I want to play guitar. My grandfather, you know, asked me about, he's like, are you serious? And I'm like, yeah, because he asked me what I wanted to do. I was like, well, I'm going to play guitar. I want to be a rock star. So he brings me home an acoustic guitar one day. And because I told him I really wanted an electric guitar, he was like, if you will take the time, get to learn this, show me that you're serious about it. He's like, I'll buy you an electric guitar. And it wasn't long after that acoustic guitar, he saw it, and, you know, he brought me my first electric guitar.
That's so cool.
My grandfather was like the man. He was super supportive. Awesome. He was an artist as well. He was a really depressed artist. He lived through the actual Depression. And I've got 2 of his paintings in my living room currently, and they were from the Depression. And they're just really depressing paintings, but they're amazing. But my mom took after him as well. Me and my mom both, you know, we got it from him. I don't know if it carried on beyond him, but, you know, me and him, my mother were all very much alike. But yeah, so he was like my father figure, my role model. He was my biggest fan, my biggest supporter. You know, he bought me art supplies all the time, bought me music supplies all the time, encouraged me to always follow my dreams. But then, you know, he ended up, he got diagnosed with cancer, and it was too late when he realized, when they found out, it had already consumed like most of his body. So within the time he got diagnosed, it was only a matter of days before we had hospice in the house.
Wow.
And then it was like just a week or 2 later, he was gone.
Holy crap.
And
that's fast.
And I think I was like maybe 15, and that destroyed, like, my whole world came crashing down on me, because that was like the greatest man I'd ever known. And, you know, we had worked on rebuilding an old Lincoln together. You know, there was just, we worked on building the fireplace in the den together. There was just so much stuff that he taught me and that we did together that was just huge moments of molding who I was. And losing him, it was like I lost all my sense of purpose and direction. And my drug usage, it just spiraled out of control at that point. And like I hit the streets for a hot minute. I was doing a lot of drugs, drinking a lot. I nearly got my mother ended up coming home and moving in with my grandmother, and shit got real weird. And, you know, because my mother still, she you know, she drank a lot. She enjoyed pills a little bit, a lot of it. But so they would argue a lot, and it was just a really toxic environment, and I didn't want to be there, and I was just contributing to making it worse. But, you know, I decided to, you know, to support myself when I was like out and about and not staying anywhere. You know, I thought I'd be an independent narcotic sales distributor. You know, thought that'd be a lucrative way to support myself. And, you know, I had some other people working with me, and, you know, there was a couple of times where shit got really bad. You know, the house got raided. You know, almost got my fucking family killed. That was real bad. Fortunately, you know, things worked out. Nobody got killed. Nobody went to prison. So that was good. I lost a lot of friends. A lot of friends died. A lot of friends went to prison. Bad times. I don't know how I managed to escape both of those fates, but somehow I did, and I am eternally grateful for that. So I guess by, you know, the early 2000s, I guess it was around like 2003, 2004, you know, I was out of hand. Like, I was drinking so much, no one wanted anything to do with me. Like, no, I had 2 friends, both of which are no longer with us, sadly. But I had 2 friends that drank the way I did, that wanted to hang out with me. And the real ironic and sad part is, one of them, he got sober before I did. No. Or was it right after I did or right before I did? I can't remember. But
Well, now you had already had a little bit of experience being somewhat successful in your creative endeavors as well,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. I mean,
Okay.
like I DJ'd like all up and
Touch
down.
on that, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like I had started playing parties all over. I was getting booked like very regularly. Sometimes it was at the point that people, I'd have somebody call me up like asking me about putting them on the guest list for a party, and I'm like, what party? What are you talking about? And they'd be like, yeah, I was at Vibe Tribe Records and I saw your name on the flyer, and I'd go up there and there'd be my name on a couple of flyers that nobody contacted me about. So I'm like booked for parties that nobody booked me for. So it was real weird, real weird. That there was a few times that happened, but I mean I played some parties like like Florida, Georgia, DC, Virginia, Tennessee, of course Western Carolina, Asheville a lot, Georgia. I think I already said Georgia, but I played a bunch of places, all like Southeast region, a little bit up north. But it was pretty cool. I was playing fairly regularly, and I thought at the time it was fun. But it was just because I was really fucked up and like masking my anxieties and fears and everything else that just completely consumed me. All of my trauma and abandonment issues and everything else. I'm just like, here's my escape from reality. Here's this whole other world that I am shaping for myself through music and drugs, because that's the way to do it. But yeah, there was all that, and so yeah. But by the time that it got to around 2004, I was just I was hardly even DJing anymore. I was like starting to sell on my records to support my drinking habits. Sold my turntables. I started getting to the point where I didn't even want to go out. People didn't want to hang out with me. I didn't want to go anywhere. I had two friends that hung out with me at that time. One of them got sober, and then, ironically enough, he got real involved with his church. He got back in school. He was doing real good. He was starting he got into film school. And then on his birthday, his first sober birthday, he got killed by a drunk driver.
Damn.
The fucking irony.
Wow.
Yeah, and then the other one died fairly recently, and me and you might have been with us. I know there's a few of us that went to his house a couple of times in the middle of the night when he was like going fucking off the rails, trying to get him to like come to meetings. But he passed recently, which sucked. I really wanted to go to his funeral, but at the same time it was too much, and we'd already, I think it was right after, a couple other like close friends of ours had recently passed at that time. So it was just like seeing it all on social media, like reading everybody's comments, seeing pictures from like so many people so close together. And that's the life, and that's the nature of, addiction and, dealing with issues, or not having the outlet or the resources or the willingness to use the right outlets or resources to deal with traumas and fears and the underlying issues, the things that oftentimes create the addictions. the escape routes.
Dude, I'm so horrible with memorials and funerals.
Me too.
I honestly, like, it's not to offend anyone. I'm just like literally done with that sort of ritual ceremony that
I mean, it really is.
Yeah, I mean, I understand closure and whatnot, but you know, I've had quite a few in my like experience to where it's just there's so many on that level, and then my personal like losses, my personal people that have passed on in my personal life.
Yeah.
Like I'm just, you know, I do, you know, I take my moments, but I take them personally. I mean, getting together with some people, like
it's too much.
It's just too much. So I understand that part.
Yeah, I like to think that I am like now compared to, you know, 15 years ago, I like to think I am incredibly emotionally stable. Like my emotional maturity, my mental maturity, my stability, I think I'm in a fantastic place today. But with the exception of when it comes to going to being around other people in those type of situations, in memorial situations, celebrations of life, funerals, whatever you want to call it, however they want to frame it, however whatever the vibe is, whatever the sentiment is, regardless, it is too much for me. I'm mentally and emotionally am not equipped for it. It brings up too much in myself that I'm not ready to deal with. Stuff that I've tried dealing with. I've gone to therapy. I've got issues around death and addiction and stuff like that I don't know if I'll ever come to full acceptance or closure on. Stuff that I don't know if therapy will ever work out for me. So.
Well, I give you props for like being open to it and going and stuff. That
thank you.
That I feel like that makes a difference, and whether you like have some sort of just accepting that you have that and speaking with somebody is a huge thing. It's important.
Yeah, I've been in and out of therapy like quite a few times in my life.
Yeah.
I've been on medication several times. For years at a time. And it actually just over the past couple of years, since 2021 to now has probably been, aside from my early childhood, this has probably been the most traumatic time in my life. And oddly enough, both surround and directly involve my mother, which I will get back to in just a second.
You were at that place with not really recovering from your granddad, and we had moved into your experiences with losing other ones, and so I wanted to sort of rewind and go back to where you started to hit your rock bottom, like how you got from losing your granddad to that place, sort of the story into that part and going into your rock bottom.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So, I mean, I've covered a good bit of it. I just dove headlong into a life of drugs and alcoholism and raves and just doing that like constantly. I was literally going out every single night. I mean, like sometimes there wasn't a place that I would necessarily call home for like days at a time. Sometimes I'd stay with different chicks. Sometimes I'd maybe go stay with my grandmother for a couple of days. It just wherever I would end up, wherever the road took me basically. Then I had there was a few a few different, like, really, I had some really awesome girlfriends through that time period. Some very supportive, very cool girls that I probably didn't deserve, but you know, I lived with a couple of them on and off. Sometimes, you know, I just crash, you know, but you know, oh yeah, and you know, sometimes there was another DJ that I lived with for a while. We had a couple different places together on and off, and you know, he was super supportive, super awesome. Been a really good friend for a really long time. Definitely pulled me out of some really fucked up bad situations that I got myself into, weird times. But yeah, you know, it got to the point where, like, I even, you know, the closest people to me in my life, the people who had known me for years and years and years, didn't want to have anything to do with me. You know, you know, they told me they loved me, they wished the best for me, but you know, if I wasn't going to get help, if you know, I was going to keep down the self-destructive path that I was going, that they couldn't stand by and watch. And I understood. You know, I didn't blame them. I felt like an asshole. But you know, I finally, I pretty much cut everyone off, and there was one night, I was sitting on, all my furniture had been repoed. It was in an apartment I was living in. I was renting the furniture. All the furniture got repoed. That came home to an eviction notice on the door, and my mother had just gifted me a new rifle for my birthday, and you know, it wasn't long after my birthday, and
it was a perfect storm,
right? So, you know, I've got a half gallon of Jack Daniels, and I'm just having at it, and I'm looking at the rifle, and I'm just looking at my state of being and thinking about the future or lack thereof, and I'm like, this is it. Like, I don't care anymore. Like, I have nothing. Like, if people are gonna miss, nobody's gonna miss. Like, why? I don't care. Like, I have no desire to be here. There is nothing stopping me now. So I chambered it. I put the rifle in my mouth and I started pulling the trigger. Nothing was happening. So I'm like freaking out, like crying my freaking eyes out, like, why? And I'm pulling the trigger. I'm like, John, the little charging handle thing, whatever. I kept pulling the trigger and like nothing was happening. And I'm like, what is wrong with this stupid rifle? And this, mind you, this is like 6 o'clock in the morning. So it's like, what, 3 o'clock in the morning in like New Mexico? My phone starts ringing. And I'm like, what the hell? So I answer the phone, and it's a friend of mine in New Mexico. So it's like, it's got to be 3 where she is. She's bawling her eyes out when I answer the phone. She's like, oh my God, are you okay? And I'm like, not really. She's like, I just had this horrible dream that you died. Fucked me up.
Wow.
And I'm like, that's, let me tell you what's going on right now. Let me just be honest with you. So I told her like what I was doing. Wow. And she freaked out. So she's crying, and she's like, don't do anything. I'm going to catch a plane. I'm going to come to North Carolina. I'm going to stay with you. We're going to sort this out. We're going to get you help. And that just made me feel like an even bit, because she had just got accepted to a school that she was trying to go to for like years and years and years. She's trying to get, there's like her dream. It's like in New York or something. She's talking about trading her plane ticket for a plane ticket to North Carolina to come stay with my fucking lame ass. Because like I can't deal with reality. Yeah. So that just made me feel even worse. So I promised her I wouldn't do anything. So, you know, I end up, I pass out on my floor. The next day, or later on that afternoon, I wake up, you know, the rifle's across the room, And I go and I look at it, and I'm just standing there. I'm like, what? Did I really? You know, and I pick it up. I'm looking at it. And, you know, like I said, it had just been gifted to me for my birthday. I didn't really know anything about it. I'd never taken it out, shot it, never done anything with it. I realized there's a safety behind the trigger. The safety was on.
Oh. I didn't know that.
Had I known anything about that rifle.
Wow, the way I remembered it, it was jammed and that was it.
No, there was a safety on it.
The safety was on.
And had I known.
Incredible.
This story wouldn't exist.
Right.
But, so, another week or so goes by, and then I'm back in the same situation. I'm sitting there on my floor, and I know that she's doing her thing. She's in school. I turn. I'm just like, I'm not gonna do anything. And you know, I wait a little bit, and I start thinking about it again. I'm like, no, you know what? I am. I'm done. Like I can't put this off. Like I can't. Promises, Buck, whatever, whoever misses me, it doesn't matter. No one's gonna miss me. I was like, you know, I'm over it. So I start texting people. So I'm going through my phone and I'm just like, hey, I love you. Sorry for being such a chaotic storm in your life. Sorry for being a shitty friend. You know, whatever the situation is. Thanking people for shit, saying goodbye to people for shit. By the time I get 10 or 11 messages, very long, drunk, took me forever messages to type out, the very first person that I text comes barreling through my front door with another friend, and they start going through the apartment, taking everything that I can fashion as a weapon. They're finding all my hiding spots with all my liquor, pouring everything in the sink, and they're like, you're going to go get help. Like, we're taking you to get help. And I'm like, no, just take me to my grandmother's house. Let me sit down with my mom and grandmother. Let me talk this out with them. Let me figure out something with them, because they're going to be the ones that are going to need to take me and have me admitted. So let's just do that. Just drop me off there and let me figure this out with my family. So they're like, cool, we'll do that. So they take me over there and they drop me off and they leave. And I steal my grandmother's car and go right back to the liquor store. And,
wow.
Yeah. So I end up.
Serious?
Yeah. So the guy that I was talking about that ended up getting killed by a drunk driver on his first sober birthday, I go to his apartment, and you know, I've got a fifth of Jack Daniels and a fifth of Cavassier, and we're just listening to music and getting drunk. And he's like, well, listen, I need to pass out. He's like, I'd prefer you stay here. He's like, you can sleep on the couch. He was like, you know, I'll take you home, like, whenever I get up in the morning or later or whatever it was. I'm like, okay. So he goes to sleep, and I'm like sitting there just still listening to music, still drinking. And I get this sharp pain. And it feels like somebody's like stabbing me in the stomach. And I'm like, what the hell? And it gets to the point where, like, I can't breathe. And, like, I can't talk. I can't make any noise. And I just hit the floor, and I can, like, barely move. So I'm, like, dragging myself across his living room, trying to get to his bedroom door. And I'm, like, can't even, like, hit it. I'm, like, scratching, like, making this, like, like, noise. And he finally wakes up, and he opens the door, and he's like, holy shit. So he picks me up, gets me down to his car. Luckily, he was like, his apartment was diagonally across from a damn hospital. So gets me to the emergency room. He's like trying to get me in the door. As soon as we get through the sliding door, it's like he can't hold me up anymore. I hit the ground, throw up, and just nothing but blood and whiskey across the ER floor. So, you know, they come over, they grab me, they put me in a wheelchair, they immediately take me back. So they got all these tubes in me. They're doing all this shit. I'm fucked up out of my mind. And at one point, I remember there's a doctor. I think I projectile vomited on a couple of the nurses when they put some tubes in my throat. But at one point, there's a doctor talking to me, and he was like, you were drinking whiskey? I'm like, yeah. And he's like, you can't drink anymore. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, how you are alive, I don't understand. He was like, I don't know how you even made it here.
Wow.
He's like, you should be dead. He was like, I'm surprised any of your organs are functioning right now.
Wow.
He was like, if you drink again, you will die. And I was like, so you're saying I need to cut back? He was like, no. He's like, do you know what Russian roulette is? I was like, oh, yeah. And he was like, that's what drinking is going to be for you. He was like, the next drink could kill you. I was like, wait. So you're telling me that if I want to die, all I got to do is what I love doing anyway? Are you serious? He was like, yes, you are going to die. You should be dead already. And I was like, so, all right, if I don't want to die, I just need to like maybe stop drinking the liquor and just maybe drink a couple light beers here and there. He's like, that could kill you. He's like, you can never drink again. He was like, all of your organs are like barely hanging on. He's like, you've got pancreatitis. He's like, you might have liver cancer. I don't know. He's like, but you're dying. And I'm like, okay, all right. So I start thinking about the gravity of everything he's saying, and I just start bawling. Like I'm just, and it's not because like, hey, I could die. It's because like, hey, I can't drink anymore or I'll die. And then I started thinking, I'm like, well, do I want to just go ahead and do it and die? Or like, what am I going to do? And there was this weird moment. I don't know what it was, but like I didn't want to die. Like less than 24 hours prior, I wanted to die really bad.
Even a few minutes before then, yeah. You were arguing about, I can drink myself to death. This works.
Yeah. And then, I mean, like a couple weeks before that, I was like literally trying to like, unalive myself with a rifle.
Yeah.
So it's like, here's this weird moment where like I had nothing to live for. There was no reason to keep going. But for some reason, I still wanted to be here. And I still don't know what it was in that moment that made me make that decision. But, I decided to try. And I ended up going to a meeting with a mutual friend of ours. A meeting I really did not enjoy at all, if I'm being honest. It was one of those like 8 o'clock real churchy meetings. It was not cool.
Yeah, I don't like those either.
No. Where nobody had like really horrible stories, and everybody was like dressed real nice and like,
it's weird.
Everybody's like had money to put in the basket, and everybody's got nice cars, and I'm like, the fuck is this? I'm like, where Yes!
Welcome to the meeting.
For real. But then, it's like I ended up at the 10. And then
that's where we ran into each other again.
Yes.
Yep.
But yeah, so that that was a whole other world from like the first one I went to. And so, I was like, well, cool. These people are just as fucked up as I am. I'm like, all right. I'll give these people a shot. I'll hang with these people. So it was kind of cool. And somehow I managed
it was a lot less institutionalized.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think just the fact that it was like late at night and everybody was fucking excited about coffee and shit. I was like, okay, cigarettes and coffee, hell yeah. I got to replace something with something. But that was another thing, the whole replacing. So I was taking a lot of Percocet. I was doing a whole lot of Percocet.
That,
And I'd take 2 or 3 to get through the meeting, just to be able to deal with it. Just so I didn't go through DTs and shit. But so everybody kept encouraging me to get a sponsor. So, this one guy kept trying to talk to me, and he's like, "You need a sponsor." So I'm like, "Yeah, I liked what you shared in the meeting tonight. I thought we vibe. Like, I cool. Yeah. If you want to be my sponsor, that's awesome." And he's like, "Well, how long you been sober?" And I'm like, "Well, I've got like coming up on probably 30 days now." I'm like, the only thing I've been doing is the Percocets. He's like, "No, dude." He's like, "You can't be doing Percocets. It's not sober." And I'm like, "What you mean?" But so then I had to stop doing the Percocets. So I kind of started over. So then I got up to 60 days. And I was so fucking excited. I was like, this is unbelievable. I can't believe that I have been sober for 60 consecutive days. Never thought I'd see the day. I did not think I was going to, the way I was drinking and using, I didn't think I was going to make it to C18. Saw 18, no way I'm going to live to see 21. 21, I'm like, if I make it to 25, it's going to be a miracle. 25, I'm like, how am I still here? 27 is when I got sober. So 60 consecutive days. So I'm super excited. I'm on my way to the meeting. I'm thinking I'm going to be standing up in front of all these people picking up my 60-day chip. And I'm like so proud of myself. And a couple hours later, I'm sitting at this bar, at this pool hall that I used to go to all the time. And I'm looking at the bartender. And she's looking at me. I don't know what kind of look I'm giving her. She's like, "What?" She's like, "Are you okay? Like, why are you looking at me like that?" And I'm like, "What? How long ago did I come in here?" She's like 2 hours ago. And I'm looking at the shot glasses and the empty beer bottles in front of me. I'm like, "Is that me?" She's like, "Yeah." She's like, "Are you okay? What is going on?" And I was like, I was on my way to an AA meeting to pick up a chip for 60 days. And she just, the look on her face, like, I'll never forget it. Like, just this, she went like ghostly white. And I couldn't tell if it was disgust or disappointment, or like if she was mad at herself, if she was mad at me, if like she thought that I put her in some kind of fucked up spiritual position or something. I don't know, but she just like, the look on her face pained my soul. And she was like, "You need to leave." And
wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
She's like, "Yeah, you didn't make it. You need to leave." But yeah, so I got honest with, I told my sponsor what happened, and, decided I was going to start over. And, it was a couple of days after that, he's like, I think he was going through his own personal stuff. And he was like, "Look, I can't be your sponsor anymore. Like, I suggest you find another sponsor." So I did quickly. And that was a whole other interesting journey. But I got really heavily involved in the program for a couple of years. I went pretty heavy in with it, and I made some mistakes with things that are advised not to do in sobriety, as far as like relationships and shit like that. Got into that a little too soon, and a lot of real weird dramatic shit. I swear that I experienced more drama, and a lot of it, it had to do with me. A lot of it really didn't. But I definitely experienced more in sobriety than I did before getting sober. All the drama before that was like weird, traumatic, like drug related shit. Just making stupid life choices. But everything after that was more like kind of soap opera oriented.
Mm-hmm.
It was like a weird reality show. And a lot of it, a lot of it was like my perception of things, but a lot of it was shit that existed before I was around that kind of came to a head, and I got placed in a pawn position in that situation. But that's neither here nor there. I'm not going to get into that. But
that can be another show.
Yeah, that a lot of that really.
I understand. It's complicated. It's culty. I get it.
I had my, I got away from. I decided I was going to do it on my own, or not necessarily on my own, but I would have a select, close-knit group of people that I would trust and hang out with, and stay away from everything else, which is, just kind of how I did shit. I stayed in contact with who I needed to stay in contact with, and everybody else, I was just like, peace. And, that worked out. It's been fucking 2000. It's been 18 fucking years. Jason, it's been 18 years. And we're still here.
Yeah.
We're still alive, and we're doing this shit right now. This is amazing.
Yeah.
Life is funny.
It's a different life.
It really is. But yeah, so even through sobriety, I had a lot of traumatic experiences. I got robbed at gunpoint it was funny. I've got a 2-part video on my channel about that one day. It's my first sober birthday. I ended up breaking.
I remember that. We were rooming.
We were,
together, yeah.
Shattered. I bought a guitar after work. It was my birthday. I was supposed to have the night off. The manager was out of town. The assistant manager wouldn't let me have the night off because he wanted to go drinking and wanted to make it a point that I understood that his drinking was more important than my first sober birthday. Got in a fight with my mother, shattered my hand. After I'd bought a new guitar that now I can't play because my hand's shattered, and then get robbed at gunpoint when I get to work on the night that I'm supposed to have off. So it's just a whole, that fucked me up. But, I kept staying sober, doing the deal. But yeah, fast forward to now.
Yeah, like what it's like now and some of the lessons that came from all of those lessons. Like your what and how you're being and so I mean, because there's just a lot of stuff that you just went through,
right?
I understand too, because I identify. I've had the same experience in a lot of ways, and learning how to turn those things into lessons and tools for dealing with myself and dealing with others in a way that is constructive and creative,
nurturing,
right, and returning to my place and really finding the people in my life that count, that matter, and that can be on my side in a way that doesn't necessarily need others to be less or evil or anything like that.
Right.
However, that can be supportive for me and create like a team, again, nurturing, growth type environment is like has been for me like the most amazing transformation of them all. It's like that distance in sobriety, that distance in practicing these spiritual principles that have me go inside and then bring out something that I can embrace, that I feel good about. Right? Because I can go to a number of people that, know what to do kind of scenario. And it becomes this desperation thing. It becomes this holier than thou thing. It becomes this, pedestal, transactional relationship that, truthfully, like in a lot of ways can be more harmful because, and it's not their fault, right? Because they have a particular view and a particular way of how their life has unfolded that unfortunately they can't identify. Right. And so it's like you end up having to, in those relationships, you end up having to explain yourself. And then, of course, then it almost gives them the excuse to say that you're being excusive. And that you're being, resentful towards your past and, all of those things. When reality is like, well, no, I'm wanting to work through the resentment and create something that's going to be beneficial and help others on a scale. And so you're hearing excuses when really I'm all I'm doing is expressing what is reality for me at the moment. And then as I go through, I work through it. And if the person was supportive in a way, right? Those are the people I find. That my experience has been because they understand the and can identify with whatever the difference is when it comes. For me, it's been generational poverty, like ideology is something that I get to acknowledge is a part of who I am. I'm not complaining. I'm saying this is where I came from, and you know, some of the in some ways is cult mind ideology type stuff becomes like, well, you're just not looking at it like you're supposed to, and you're not doing it the right way, and it becomes that like pedestal type conversation, and it's like not solution. They believe it's solution oriented. It's not their fault. They have that perspective, and I get it. However, that's not. It's just like when I've sat down and talked with somebody, and they were like, "Well, you just got to work towards getting a new car." This is 20 years ago. I'm sitting down with somebody, and I'm doing the work. I'm looking at myself and looking at my fears and all of that stuff, and breaking some of this stuff down. And then, they say, well, you just got to work towards getting a new car. And it's like, I laughed when it was said to me. I was like, are you serious right now? Like, you're like, that's a real like thing that you just said. And they were like, yeah, like, just, you need to work on getting a new car. And I was like, wow, it just doesn't even register to you that, like, that is not something that I've ever, like, had guidance in or experience in. And that's, well, that's just an excuse. And I'm like, no, I want to do it. It's just something I've never had an experience in.
Right.
And so where you've had constant experience in that area, it's just an easy answer for you that makes sense.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, yeah, because that's what you do. And it's like,
that's what you do.
Right. That's how you've done it.
Right.
Right. I'm not saying that I can't do it, but how you're presenting it to me is really condescending.
Yeah.
And so that doesn't help in any way. You're belittling me without acknowledging, you know, the the experience. It's virtually impossible for you to put yourself in my shoes and hear what you're saying to me right now as being supportive or solution oriented beneficial.
Right.
And so I'm sorry I went off on that tangent because it's important to me. I feel like we could put that in some of another show or whatever.
Yeah, true.
But I want to hear your experience when it comes to like what it's like now and that progression.
Well, that's one of the things that I kind of one of my hard lessons that I kind of had to face and learn was developing like a level of spirituality, but I'm trying to think of how to word this. So, ego comes heavily into play, and it's like trying to separate like what is my ego and what is true altruistic intention and knowledge and trying to help, whether I'm helping someone else to feed my ego or if I'm helping someone else because I genuinely want to help them, or who am I going to look good in front of by doing this thing. That was something that I toggled with early in sobriety a lot, because it's like I would learn things real fast. I would hear things in meetings. I would read things in the books, and I'm like, I was soaking in all of this knowledge, just absorbing everything, and I'm like feeling like like my mind and everything is elevating, and I'm just got all this like knowledge and love and help to give, and it's like, but wait, why am I truly helping people, or am I just like trying to feel better about myself and replace everything I quit doing with this new feeling of like I'm some kind of fucking spiritual guru now, and trying to make that distinction and keep myself in check was really difficult at times, not even gonna lie. And learning like acceptance and forgiveness and things like that were hard lessons and practices that I had to do. And I don't like speaking. I don't want to speak ill of my mother, and I'm trying not to. But I in order to be honest about my story and everything else, like I have to tell certain truths and bring certain things up. My mother she had the addiction as well. She drugs and alcohol, and they consumed her life, and they wreaked havoc through my childhood. And it took a long time to move past that and come to a place where I could forgive her and try to establish a relationship with her again. And it wasn't until close to the end that happened, where like we actually became friends again, and like I could trust her, and she realized, well, I think she realized a long time ago, like the things she had done wrong and all the ways she had like hurt me in growing up. But she went out of her way to make amends, and she did everything she could. She kept trying to, right the wrongs of her past. And I saw this, and I knew she was making an effort. She still had a problem with the alcohol, and sometimes the pills started creeping back in. She went through a weird spiritual moment, and she like basically died and went on like some kind of 3-day voyage in her mind, or maybe it was the God she believes in. I don't know. The adventure she told me about that happened, how she went through her whole life and saw her whole past and made amends to everybody, and like all this shit, like while she was dying alone. It was the weirdest thing I'd ever heard. But maybe it was real. It was beyond my scope of comprehension. But I got to a point where I could forgive her and be friends with her, and all I could do was like try to help and give her the knowledge, even though like I may not have necessarily been practicing the spiritual principles myself. If I had the ability to share some of them with her and see a light go off, and like maybe remind her of the spiritual place she told me about that she had been like, hey, maybe you need to get back there. Maybe these are the things you could do. Like, I'm proud of you. You've been doing good. You can keep doing good. And things were getting a lot better. She ended up leaving in 2021 permanently, not like a vacation, like unaliving, and that was really weird and traumatic as all hell, because literally like it was a couple of days before that I'd taken her to a doctor's appointment, and she was all excited. My birthday was coming up like within a few days. She was telling me, her and my cousin and the neighbor were talking about having a cookout, and like we're having me bring a couple of friends. It was going to be a thing, and she was really excited about it, and I was really excited about it, because I hadn't really done much on my birthdays or like any holidays, So I was like, cool, going to visit my mom, because she had moved, out to the country, and it was like kind of cool. It was like a little retreat, going to see her on the weekends, or not weekends, but my days off from work. And my birthday was going to be, she bought a new grill, and we ended up having her funeral instead for my birthday. And that was just, after that it was like my cat Ishan died, and then I inherited all of her cats. Garthy died, Jet died, and it was all within like a month and a half. And it was just like a lot, like a whole lot. And, I took a mental health break. I got back on medication, got back into therapy, realized that my therapist, I told her a lot of this same stuff, and she was like, you have CPTSD. And I was like, explain. And she explained that to me. And I'm like, oh, well, that explains a lot. But then, I just kind of started trying to process it. I still haven't, but I saw the medication and the therapy were just masks. The therapy might have been beneficial, the medication not so much. I really felt like I was just numbing myself at that point. And I really need to experience this and like get through it. So I stopped doing the medication, and I've just been trying to do right by what I think my mom would be doing right now, taking care of the cats, and just trying to follow my dreams, because I know that she would want that. So, I might start doing music again, but definitely I'm going all in with the YouTube, all in, and I'm probably gonna start making some more cat content too. Now that I think about it, because she would love to see her cats on the internet. She loved my YouTube channel when I first started. She got so excited when she discovered my YouTube channel. She'd invite the neighbors over. funny.
And watch. That's so cool.
But yeah, so I feel like even despite everything, I'm in the best place I've probably been in my life right now. You know, mentally and emotionally, even as odd as it may seem, I feel like I'm actually doing pretty good.
Yeah, being aware of, you know, what all that looks like and experiencing those things is very human. And you know what I've experienced.
Oh, yeah.
So that identification isn't difficult to connect with. So the viewers may not know exactly all of those things. However, being in touch with those processes, those thoughts, understanding what they are, and then how we go through those things is we look them up. We read about them. I've even found a guy on YouTube. There's a couple of psychologists that I found that, you know, they break things down into ways that I can understand them.
Right.
Like it's not full of jargon, or he's not trying to sell his, you know, that was the one thing I did like about him, is he was not trying to sell, you know, joining his courses to be a coach or something like that. Not that there's anything wrong with coaches. They have their place. Not that there's anything wrong with therapists. They have their place. Psychiatrists, psychologists, coaches, like, I think they do a wonderful thing. I think coaching is great. And I'm working with a coach, you know, getting in touch with that experience and knowing that you're taking that. And somebody said this, and it affected me in a huge way, was the people that you were closest to, like my mother passing away, really taking that and living the life that you know they want you to have, changed my world. It changed my world. It changed the way everything that I began to do, how I began to interact with people, how I choose to make my decisions moving forward.
Yeah.
All of those things have to do with exactly that. You know, there's roadblocks. There's people want to put up walls, interact in a way that they say that they're on eggshells, or, you know, and it's like, it's real important for me to have folks just be in integrity, like land on the words that you put out is all. And if you're keeping from making words, if you're keeping from making commitments, we can sit down and talk about that too.
Yeah.
And you can practice, and I'll be open with you, and we can grow.
Right.
And if that's not what you want to do, if that becomes a thing where you start to feel analyzed and all of that stuff, then it is a good idea that we, like, take time apart.
Yeah.
Like, and I understand.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean that you're a bad person. I don't need to be a bad person because of it. You don't need to be a bad person. And we can continue on our journeys.
Right.
And if we, you know, run into each other again, fantastic. However, that to me has been, in my experience, has been true clarity.
Yeah.
And means the world to me, as far as being able to have a sense of closure, especially in close proximity deaths.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I've like you shared earlier about making it past 25 and that reality.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't think I really did not think I was meant to make it past 25,
right?
Whatever that means to you.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't see it happen. I saw, you know, I'm probably going to die. Like, this. And truthfully, looking at hindsight, like, I'm like, whoa, I don't necessarily have to think that way.
Right.
But damn, like, damn if it wasn't true.
Right.
Like, damn if it wasn't real.
Mm-hmm.
And the statistics, I don't know. There's a part of me that is, like, very much not understanding how I've gone past 25.
Yeah.
And then entered into, I'm all the way up into almost 50 now.
Right.
And I'm like, wow, each step is actual borrowed time. Each moment is actual borrowed time. And the life that I have now, the person that I am now, isn't even in the same universe, several universes apart from that person
Right.
that I was. And yeah, I have difficulties. Sometimes it's even difficult for me to break down my practices so that I can break through in ways that I would like to.
Yeah.
From that, I'm like so grateful in so many ways that I'll start to lose myself in the ego in a way that has me like comfort. You know, being comfortable is a concept that I practice in my life today. And it's like, what the fuck is that?
Yeah.
Like, what is that? How did that become
A thing.
a reality?
Yeah.
And yeah, some of it has to do with like stuff that I didn't do.
Right.
Absolutely. But how to express that in a way that is proper is like,
right.
I have no idea how to do that. And so for me, it's just like, okay, well, I can be chill and move in creativity. I know what that is.
Yeah.
And so if I go with what I know, then eventually parts of it will start to come out, be recognized, be articulated in a way that I would hope for others, many other people to see and get.
Yeah.
Some of them aren't going to, and that's okay. But, you know, even if it's just one person or two people, that would be amazing to me. So, yeah, I hear that. And I'm proud of you, super proud of you for continuing in that light. Is very inspiring and makes a huge difference in how I do things. I want you to know that you deserve to know that. You deserve to know that it's an experience that has me appreciate what I can do. Like, it's very, very inspiring and very complimentary. So, yeah.
I appreciate that a lot.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, man.
Yeah, it's weird. I'd still I don't know 100% why, but I still keep like pushing to do better by to myself. You know, like not necessarily self-care. Well, maybe it is self-care. I don't know, but like
some of it is.
You know,
sure. Some of it you probably could break through. Like, but
well, no, I mean like stuff like just doing changing my diet a little bit, trying to regulate my sugar intake, like not have much sugar. Things that normally that were like not necessarily crutches, but like rewards or like replacements. Just like, you know, I used to love sodas and candy and cookies. I'd still eat around the holidays, and them shortbread holiday cookies with the sprinkles come out. It's hard not to. I gotta get myself in check on that, especially because they got them for like $1.50 at Ingles.
No, I hear it. Yeah,
but
I just like housed a freaking box of cookies.
Yeah, I gotta chill on that. Other than that, aside from staying sober and keeping that a focus, like it's like, what can I do now? Like I've got this thing going, you know. I cut out this, I cut out that, I cut out this. It's like, what can I cut out next? What's going to be the next healthy move for me? What's going to benefit my body, mind, and spirit? And I don't know why I'm doing these things, but I feel like a need to do them for some reason. And I just keep like pushing myself and challenging myself. And I have my setbacks. I have my moments where I fall to weakness. To, you know, I'll get a Mountain Dew, or I'll get some cookies, or...
Well, I feel like it has to do with finally getting to that place where you can have a sense of gratitude, and you've experienced being creative and people getting it. You've experienced getting sober and staying sober for long term, finding the growth and gratitude in those actions and making a difference in a way that you can see it in people's eyes.
Yes.
And then having those things that you can't control happen with brutal reality in your face, practicing a sense of radical acceptance. You have to, right? You know,
no choice.
CPTSD, PTSD, potentially, you know, neurodivergent, like, ways of doing things and thinking that aren't going to go. There's no going away from that. It's leaning into it and seeing what I can do and having that reality of saying, I'm going to choose to live my life with purpose and enjoy it, has, I know for me, and it sounds like for you, has been wanting to extend it as far as I possibly can.
Yeah,
because the death is coming.
That might be it. Yeah.
And so I want to extend it. I want to be as grateful as I possibly can in many different directions.
Yeah, that makes so much sense.
Yeah, you know, like bodily for me, like I've expressed, like, you know, this is the worst shape I've ever been in, minus a couple of years, 8-9 years ago. I was horribly, like, I couldn't breathe. I was smoking cigarettes. I had just gotten sober again, and I had been drinking for a couple of years, and I wasn't like any kind of stupor drinking. I was trying to practice like functional drinking. And I did a decent job with it. It was a battle to get sober because I was really in this place of
it's not a problem.
It not being a problem, right? And so for me it was like, well, I actually enjoy this. The reality of it was I actually get something from being around people who are sober that I don't get from others necessarily.
There's that.
Right. And so for me, it was like, okay, well, that's a luxury item. And I'm having a superficial argument with myself about a luxury item versus quality life.
Right.
And so I was like, oh, well, that as soon as I came to that reality, I was like, oh, well, that's easy. That I don't, you know, that's just me wanting to show a superficial, you know, practice, and that's just not even worth the effort. Nope. So I was like, okay, it finally hit me. I was like, oh, well then, you know, and it was like that extension of life. That extension of what I can possibly do became like even bigger at that point. And so give yourself credit for recognizing that and understanding that, because a lot of people don't. I'm telling you, a lot of people, they'll get stuck in wanting to live forever. They'll get stuck in like not even wanting to talk about, you know, death or reality in any way. They want to talk about, you know, whatever, freezing, fantasy stuff, Valhalla, blah, blah, blah. Any of that stuff really goes into like another, like in my mind, in my practice, some unreality that I really don't have time for when I can be doing something and creating something in a way that like helps connect with people. Yeah. So yeah, with all of that, I really, really love what we did. Yeah. And you're
awesome.
Thank you for, there was some stuff in your story that I really didn't have, little pieces and keys that I didn't even know existed. So I appreciate you sharing that stuff too. There was some eye-opening stuff. And so what would you say to leave them with, looking forward to what's coming up ahead?
Oh, okay. So at first, I definitely want to say, if you've got hopes and dreams and visions and ideas and you're scared, fear is natural. It's understandable, but you're never going to know unless you try. Sometimes you just got to bite that fear and swallow it like a glizzy and just fucking follow your dreams and do what you got to do, which both of us are doing 100%. We're going to have some exciting stuff coming to the Moral Misanthrope soon. But yeah, this has been absolutely amazing, and thank all of you for watching. Thanks for having me. I don't know if you have like a sign on. Farts and cloud.
Chicka boom boom.
Yeah.
No, I don't have a signature. But other than grateful, totally.
Yeah.
And check out Moral Misanthrope. Some hilarious videos.
Not a reaction channel.
It's not a reaction channel. Yeah, there's some other projects. We're gonna name it Other Projects. We're gonna project.
Yes. All right. All right.
Ron drive with a west wind was bueno and battered potato. Simple solar cellular charger, but I need a larger amount of chip because every pop up make my USB coffee warm.
I'm just trying to document this.
Manic skin my brain to find 30,000 viruses. Hit that acid rain, hit rent my NTFS useless, and I'm member I've been reformatted. End of my document, personal tax information folder. Explorers cause errors and need to be I'm left broken hearted. I entered safe mode about 3 years ago. Never does he processes populate my test manager. Faking the funk can take a dump on my network. Committee administrative account holder. A cold users. Bandwidth abuses tonight. Bring your 212 to a crawl. Claim you know of no reason at all. The internet to be slow and unresponsive. My human works, but I can't get on the web. Better call Gates before you back up. He says he plays platters. Red 5 idealist. Feels not needed to ramble, but is there any way I can get Discovery Channel on my Windows Media Player? DR hey, make me wanna hack all I see. Repost FTP for free with an ATR ID emo technology or dual core. I can play all AFs in the days of 98. I don't find time I allocate. Take a bunch from the stack.